Greetings, Rigil Agateiades here, and this week on the PC version of Battle Operations 2, we have some big news. The 30 Mobile Suit Adjustment patch, or should I say, the 32 Mobile Suit Adjustment patch is finally here. Bringing much needed buffs to a huge number of mobile suits at once, the already large patch is made even larger this time, because added to this patch are the adjustments for two PC exclusive mobile suits, the Burning Gundam and the Freedom Gundam. The Freedom in particular is causing quite a commotion, so that'll be what we're using today. This isn't the first time the Freedom Gundam has been buffed. In fact, it had already been buffed once before, turning its most important skill, HIMAT mode, from one use only to reusable after 40 seconds. This wasn't enough apparently, and its win rate dwindled over time. Not gonna lie, it's probably a single mobile suit's fault, but who am I to comment? Anyway, what are the buffs they got this time? Starting off, we have the buff to the all-important skill, HIMAT mode. Again! Increasing the duration each activation from 40 seconds to 50 seconds. That's 20% more time with infinite thrusters, a special shooting on the beam rifle, and the incredibly strong HIMAT Full Burst. What's equally important, however, is what we can do while using HIMAT mode. That brings us to the weapon buffs. First weapon to be buffed is the double railgun. Firing interval on this weapon is reduced from 6 seconds to 5 seconds, and the stagger accumulation is increased to 40% per hit. That's exactly 100% if you add in the main beam rifle. The other long-range weapon, the plasma beam cannon, also got similar buffs. With the stagger per hit increased from 20% to 25% per hit, it now only takes 2 ticks to stagger instead of all 3. The overheat cooldown of this weapon is also reduced by a third, although you almost always replace it with the full burst after dropping the shot. But these aren't as important as the one change to these weapons' handling. Both of these weapons, and in fact the HIMAT Full Burst also, can now be fired while mid-air. Instead of having an awkward standstill after using thrusters in order to fire these weapons, you can take to the skies with your flap boosters, fire these weapons quickly with minimal maneuver armor downtime, then go back into flap boosters again! If you're not sure how powerful this is, just take a look at the Wing Zero. But this brings us to the question, why are we bringing it to space where we can't use flap boosters? Other than hiding my inability to use flap boosters properly, there's actually another reason why we're taking it to space, the HIMAT mode special shooting. While HIMAT mode is active, pressing the special system button again with the beam rifle armed engages a special evasion while firing the weapon. This move is now worth a lot more attention because with the new patch, this special shooting just gained true invincibility. Just like the Bound Dog last week, this evasion can prevent any incoming staggers and now even damage as well, while costing you no thrusters at all. The true invincibility should also reset the stagger accumulation on you, making you a lot harder to stagger. This special shooting is good enough on ground, but it's actually even stronger while in space. While this special shooting drops your altitude rapidly when using flap boosters in ground battles, throwing off your aim and in the worst case, causing you to enter the jump motion if you're holding the jump button. This does not happen in space. Instead, you keep almost pinpoint aim while benefiting from the 2 extra evasions, a huge advantage in space battles where thrusters are extra precious. Those are the ranged weapon buffs, but the melee buffs on this mobile suit are also worth mentioning. While most people only spam the HIMAT Full Burst all day, which is indeed a very effective plan with thruster-based fire cooling system, reducing its cooldown almost constantly. This mobile suit also has 2 melee weapons which allow it to do some serious melee damage. This is especially true after the buffs to the double beam saber this patch, increasing the damage multiplier on the down attack to 200% in total. A triple down attack combo can match even the damage on the HIMAT Full Burst. Doing this during HIMAT mode is of course easier as you don't have to worry about thrusters, and by weaving in the special shooting to reset stagger accumulation, your moves are more than just fancy. However, this is actually even more important to try and do while HIMAT mode is on cooldown. While HIMAT mode is on cooldown, you cannot use the railgun or plasma beam cannon, so melee attacks are really your only good way of doing damage. It's not like you have no staggers during the cooldown either, because you still have both the beam rifle and the Vulcans. The increase in stagger from 6% to 7% per hit this patch doesn't sound like much, but this actually makes a difference as it now takes 2 less hits to stagger. The range of 200 meters is good enough for starting melee combos, so don't just fiddle around with your beam rifle during the 40-second HIMAT wait. In terms of offense, the freedom really is top-notch after the patch. While HIMAT mode is up, the 50 seconds of unlimited thrusters and flap boosters is unmatched by any other mobile suit, and a single HIMAT full burst can do some obscene damage if you land all 11 hits. And it's not like the freedom can't do anything while HIMAT mode is on cooldown either, with the instant stagger on the beam rifle and the Vulcans actually getting you melee combos. The resulting plan is simple. Start with the plasma beam cannon, get a couple thousand damage if you land a good hit, then use HIMAT mode to refresh that cooldown by replacing it with the HIMAT full burst. Or if your enemies are back at base, just hold down the thruster button to actively reduce the cooldown with thruster based fire cooling system to do it again. Putting a weapon like this at 10-second cooldown is simply unfair. Well, it's unfair, but only in terms of damage and mobility. In terms of overall ability, there's at least one thing keeping this Freedom Gundam from going on a full-on rampage like the General type Wing Zero. What's not touched in this patch, not a single bit in fact, is its defense. The 19,000 base health remains as unreliable as ever, and phase shift armor only works against specific opponents. Your anti-beam shield is the only good bit of defense on this mobile suit, and you're in trouble the moment you're caught on your right where it doesn't cover. Even if you don't disintegrate, the stagger reduction on this mobile suit is also limited. Maneuver armor level 1 is all you got to reduce staggers, and you're free to stagger while firing your weapons or meleeing. You also only take 100% stagger to stop. Against shotguns or beam rifles with 100% stagger at once, there's nothing you can do about them. Emergency evasions can bail you out, but at a cost of 10 seconds of HIMAT, so definitely try to avoid any attention in the first place. That was the Freedom Gundam, not as ridiculous as the Wing Zero at its peak, but definitely not doing any less damage. The ability to fire its weapons on flap boosters have revolutionized the playstyle of this mobile suit in ground battles, but it's nothing less impressive in space thanks to the newly buffed special shooting. Having 2 evasions available every 7 seconds is a huge advantage in space, and on ground, you can also use it as an instant stagger while on maneuver armor. All that's left to do is to spam that HIMAT full burst as much as possible. That's it from me today. Actually glad that they didn't buff its defense for the sake of game balance, and the latest.